This
I am a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Justin Turner here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did you know at all what was in Joe Kelly's dome taking the mound that night?
Download and podcast at richeisenshow.com.
You know, I don't know what's in Joe Kelly's dome any day of the week.
Today's guests, senior NBA insider for The Athletic and Stadium, Shams Charania, co-founder of 35 Ventures, Rich Kleiman, plus NBC Sports IndyCar announcer Leigh Diffey. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Welcome to this Friday show here on the Rich Eisen Show. We say hello to the Rich Eisen Show radio network across this great country, especially to our friends of the mightier 1090 in Southern California. We're first full week of our relationship, and that signal going all the way from Baja California all the way around the planet and back again. And we say hello to our YouTube streamers, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. And we say to you that this is the last day that we'll be doing our live stream on YouTube. We'll have all our clips on our YouTube page from here on out, just like normal. But our live stream moves to Peacock on Monday, and we're genuinely excited about that. We'll talk more about it in the 3 hours if you hadn't heard what we've said over the last 4 days here on this spot. We say hello to Christopher Brockman. We're rocking the Peacock lid right there. Good to see you, sir.
Representing. What's happening?
I am pleased to see you. TJ Jefferson, social media grandmaster, sitting in his spot. Good to see you, TJ Jefferson.
Hello, friends.
Good to see you. Mike Del Tufo was closing on a boxing match, I think, for Fox. I think that's what he's doing. So, okay, so our boy Freeman's sitting in for him today. So, okay, that large noise you heard last night was the exhalation of Laker Nation, I believe, from the bubble on out. That's more like it. That's more like it. That's exactly more like it.
Car flags live another day.
Well, I mean, they looked championship quality. They looked like a terrific defensive team. And Anthony Davis looking tremendous, and that's more like it. And then Damian Lillard dislocates a finger on his left hand. X-rays are negative. But it was just a dreadful night all around for the Blazers, whose digits in their final double-digit tally, lowest for them in their entire bubble experience, and the eights matched their 8th seed that they looked like last night. And the ones for the Lakers, 111, matched their 1 seed, which they looked everything like in that regard.
Well done. I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Nice.
And you know, so they win the game in which LeBron only has 4 field goals and 6 turnovers, and lose the game in which he has a stat line like we've never seen before, literally, in the history of the NBA playoffs. But we also saw last night a stat line. I don't believe we've ever seen a stat line like Anthony Davis's.
Oh, baby.
With fewer than 30 minutes played in a playoff game. That was a first. That was a first last night. So that was more like it for the Lakers. And that was exactly what the doctor ordered for the Los Angeles Lakers. We could have, had they gone down 0-2, spent an entire 3 hours on that subject on this show. Instead, we'll just leave it. I mean, I don't know what else more needs to be said other than they did what they needed to do. And we had Tanya Ganguli of the Los Angeles Times on earlier this week, and she said after that Game 1 loss, in which the Lakers again couldn't shoot straight despite having a fine defensive effort, that the team was essentially going to just sit back, chill out, not make any rash movements, go ahead and just figure that the shots are going to fall. That's it. Shots will fall. Don't worry about it. Just stay the course. And staying the course worked out. Now then, we have to find out what's going on with Lillard, and that's why we've got Shams Charania who's going to join us. Lillard says he's fine. There's X-rays are negative. When you dislocate a finger on your shooting hand, I mean, that's going to have to affect something, right? I mean, you just have to. You have to. It's a non-shooting hand, but I mean, even when you're shooting,
offhand, but still, a dislocated finger really hurts.
So there's that. You could see there's a photograph that we're showing you right there of him tinkering with his bandaged offhand. Tonight, the NBA playoffs return, and it's that's obviously not funny. It's just weird that technically these are games 3 of the first round of the playoffs.
Yes.
So technically, all the quote-unquote road teams are now the quote-unquote home teams.
Correct.
So Toronto's at Brooklyn, Denver at Utah, Boston at Philly. We'll see if the quote-unquote change of venue in the actual same venue means something for the Sixers. Something's got to change, man.
On different virtual fans.
No, again, but I'm serious.
Music.
Again, this would tilt in the Sixers' favor. Let's see if the Celtics can handle the Philly crowd and nonstop.
This is what you talked about. This is what you talked about this week. The lack of a home court advantage. Those fans would boost the Sixers up. It would boost the Nets up. They'd probably get a few more calls to go their way, and that ain't going to happen tonight. And
then there's the Clippers in Dallas. There you go.
Great series so far.
That'll be tonight. We'll see how the response is. If I'm not mistaken, Paul George's Instagram story was T.J. Jefferson he worked blue after that dreadful Game 2 performance by him.
He kind of put his thoughts out there. That's
he did,
for sure.
didn't he? Did he not?
He's wondering why you're up in his business.
Yeah, up in his business.
Well, he kind of stunk it up. That's why.
That's tonight. Our friends at NBC SN were not on there today. We'll be on there on Monday as well as Peacock. It's Carburetor Day at the Indianapolis 500.
All right.
So that's what's going down right now on NBC SN as opposed to this show. So it's the old Carburetor Day. And Leigh Diffey, the voice of the Indianapolis 500 on NBC on Monday at on Sunday at 1 Eastern time, he will be joining us in our final hour of the program today. As we mentioned, Shams will be joining us in about 13 minutes' time. Our buddy Rich Kleiman, the co-founder of 35 Ventures, along with Kevin Durant. He will be the agent manager of Kevin Durant, will be joining us in the middle of hour number 2. Always a fun conversation with Rich. We've added Pat Forty to our lineup. That was a late add of SI. Pat Forty, the college football writer, will be joining us at the top of hour number 3. As, Big Ten parents are just not, and some Big Ten fans are just not at all pleased with what's going down with college football in the Big Ten. They're not buying the Big Ten's decision-making. They think it is behind closed doors. It's not being they need a little bit more sunshine on it. Well, I want to talk to Pat Forty about all that later on. Congratulations to the New York Islanders, as well as in yesterday's NHL schedule, as well as the Dallas Stars. They closed out Washington and Calgary, respectively. So tonight on NBCSN, after Carburetor Day, Philadelphia trying to close out Montreal, and Vancouver trying to close out the Stanley Cup champs. How about that? The Stanley Cup champs on the ropes right brink now. So we might have a new Stanley Cup champion tonight. Speaking of being closed out. So, when I get up in the morning, I look at the old headline stack of what's going on in the world. Of
course.
Okay.
We all do it.
And I'll read you this headline stack story from ESPN.
All right.
Mike Reese, who covers the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Quoting Julian Edelman as talking about the quarterback competition has great new energy in New England. Well, that competition is over, folks. It is done. Unless you consider Brian Hoyer competition for Cameron Newton.
I don't.
I didn't consider Jarrett Stidham as quarterback competition for Newton, but I considered that a viable and, of course, crucial strategy. If anyone dares to second guess Bill Belichick, it's Stidham needs the reps. Stidham needs to, show what he can do. Stidham needs to, if you want to, push Cam Newton. But Cam was going to be the guy. But you never know with Stidham, and obviously in the era of COVID-19, you need as many viable quarterbacks as you possibly can have. You have no idea who might pop. Center pops. That might mean the quarterback's got to quarantine. New center, new quarterback all of a sudden for a team that's got to make a change over a weekend. I mean, this is possible. It's coming. But Stidham is going to be out for several weeks. Is that correct, Chris Brockman?
Yeah, that's what Mike Giardi from NFL Network is saying. Several weeks, according to his source. He's got a little hip thing going on.
Okay.
And it's going to sideline him for quite some time.
For quite some time, correct?
And we're doing the math here for you, Rich. The NFL season kicks off in 3 weeks, which is about several to me. So it looks like Cam's your guy week 1.
Cam's your guy week 1, and Cam's your guy week 1. And as long as he does not get hurt or contract the virus, this is going to be your guy.
Which we all, well, I mean,
that's why
definitely
they got
assumed.
him.
Yeah, that's why you got the guy.
That's why they got him. That's why they snagged him to this contract. That's why they got him. Belichick must have seen in some way, shape, or form what was going on in practice, and he knew that he needed another veteran, or he's sitting out there and smartly surmising that you can't have enough quarterbacks in your team, and there's an MVP sitting out there, and no team in the history of the NFL has lost their MVP quarterback or a quarterback with an MVP on his resume, and then replaced him in the same offseason with a guy who's got an MVP on his resume. It's the first guy ever. And we talked about it earlier this week. We talked about it, GM. We talked about it earlier this week. Nobody's got a bigger chip on his shoulder in this equation of who's left and who wants to win without the other guy. We gave you the option earlier this week, Brady, Belichick, or Newton. Who's playing with a bigger shoulder chip this year? And I chose Cam Newton, and I don't know if it's because I put my thumb on the scale and that the poll question, how many people chose Cam? Was it about 70%?
It was 65 at least.
So there's that. We're all in agreement. Everybody's second guessing this guy. This guy comes into the equation with the run pass option. And he can start running people over like he wants to. I'd look out if I was the rest of the American Football Conference Eastern Division. There's no question anymore. We can't just sit there anymore and say that there's a quarterback competition in New England. It's Cam Newton's job, and man, are you lucky in New England to have this guy.
No doubt.
You know, if there were fans in the stands, he'd be passing out footballs to kids. That's what he does. He would go right past the Minutemen, avoid the smoke, and hand the football to some thrilled kid from Waltham. All right, or Quincy.
Nice.
Quincy's finest third graders would be getting footballs.
Maybe from Newton.
Newton, Mass. How about that?
But now it's been given to him. He's got to take it. Now he's got to take it.
He's gonna. Please.
Now he's got to take it.
I am here. Let's just say this. I don't understand how in this day and age this could be viewed as a quote-unquote take. I am here for Cam. Against everybody 100%. Else who thinks that he doesn't care or thinks that he's not that good anymore. You're lucky, New England. You are so lucky, Chris. Because if you had gone into this season, Stidham's the guy.
You know,
Stidham's the guy, as we heard from the minute Brady signed with Tampa. Stidham's the guy. Stidham's going to be the guy. At the draft, Stidham was the guy. Through the draft, Stidham was the guy.
I would have talked myself into it by the time week 1 came around.
Well, because you would have had no other choice. Your other choice being Brian Hoyer and Brian Lewerke.
You know, with all due respect to those guys.
And kudos to Bill. He kind of like Braveheart with the rampaging horses coming his way, still anyone to hold. He held. And I guess was lucky that for some reason the Bears thought Nick Foles was the better option. And other teams decided not to go for Cam. I'm telling you, folks, if you are out there in the NFL and you've got 2 quarterbacks, you better get yourself a third. I'd love to look up how many third-string quarterbacks played last year. A handful did. We know the Steelers almost made the playoffs with Duck Hodges before he ran out of gas. But there's a new reality coming up. And as long as we're seeing what's going on in Major League Baseball, where the Mets-Yankees series had to get canceled because now a couple of Mets are sick.
Yeah, that's off this week.
And we don't know what will happen if a team gets one guy getting COVID in the NFL. Right now, I'm like holding my breath every day.
Same.
with all teams going pads for the first time this week. And if it takes 5-6 days for somebody to show symptoms if they have the virus, because they're testing everybody every day to make sure that even asymptomatic people are caught. But if you're going home and other vectors from other walks of life are coming to your house and then you bring it into the facility, you heard what Bruce Arians said on yesterday's program. He feels safe in the facility. I'm just holding my breath, because if the left guard gets it, and they know who the left guard has been around over the previous few days because they're wearing devices that can tell how close you are to other people, and they're monitoring how close everybody is to everybody. Left guard gets it, or center gets it, right guard gets it. I mean, even the tackle gets it. They're within 6 feet of the quarterback. If I'm a coach, I'm sticking a third quarterback at home and let the QB zoom into the quarterback meetings. I am keeping them separate. They are quarantined. And I'm getting a fourth quarterback, and I'm quarantining that guy. That's how I'm running my quarterback room this year if I'm a head coach in the NFL. This is just the old hip injury. Now that's no bueno.
No bueno.
Good for you having Cam. And if I'm somebody out there, man, am I calling Kaepernick yesterday. He's the best third-string quarterback that anybody could possibly get. Right? Who's out there right now if you need to knock on somebody, if you need to knock on a door and get somebody? If New England, say, didn't have Cam right there, and we're assuming somebody would have hopped on Cam. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Oh, good job. Look at you, TJ. Did you add Pat 40 right in the middle of all that stuff on our leaderboard?
Look, we stay up to date. We stay current here on the Rich Eisen Show.
There is no I and T or J.
No.
Well done.
No.
So the leaderboard has been updated here on the Rich Eisen Show. Shams Charania of Stadium as well as The Athletic will be joining us next to talk about what's going on in the NBA bubble and what is happening with Damian Lillard, and also will Russell Westbrook come back and all that good stuff right here live on the Rich Eisen Show when we come back. Okay, so our YouTube stream, again, I just want to talk to everyone there directly. I've greatly appreciated everybody's viewership. When we went off of Audience Channel the day Chris Brockman's beautiful baby boy was born, it brought in a new era, if you will, for us, where we did not have a traditional, if you will, linear cable or satellite television home. Didn't have it at all. And we didn't know where we were going next. All we knew is we loved doing the show, and we had the ability to continue doing this show financially. So we came back here after the Combine, and after I came home from the Combine, and started streaming this show on YouTube to show everybody in our industry that we were still around and able to do this show in our beautiful studio here. And we were continuing to do the show on radio for our radio partners at the time, Fox Sports Radio, and we are no longer with them. And so we decided to continue doing this show being shown on YouTube. So I thank you, because without your viewership, we couldn't have been afloat or continue doing what we're doing and prove how well we could do it to our friends at NBC Sports, on whose radar screen we were for a good time before the end of our audience run, and then the pandemic hit. So for all of us here, YouTube is the through line between what we were doing as well as what we're able to do starting on Monday on Peacock. And Shams Charania will be joining us on the show. And so I want to thank to everybody on our YouTube stream, okay? Thank you. And we are not abandoning you by going to Peacock. It is truly the way that we could come back after our hiatus. There's just no other way to put it. I'm going to shoot everyone straight, as I always do right here. that for us to continue on doing the show, our only option to continue doing this show in the manner in which we want to do it and the exciting manner in which we can continue to do it and grow with a brilliant opportunity and streaming service. This was it. It is the only way for us to continue forward and thrive and be part of something exciting with a group of people who believe in us. That's what we're all looking for, right? In our world.
Absolutely.
And so it's the lifetime opportunity for this show that we have. And I know that's the way we view it. That's the way that we're thrilled that Peacock views it. And I know that YouTubers might be sitting in there in the wormhole, in the 454 wormhole, and saying, what gives? Well, here's what gives. It's a new, brilliant, wonderful opportunity for this show. We all are still here. It is just like the YouTube stream, free. Welcome back to our show here on the Mightier 1090 as well as Sirius XM. And so I'm speaking to our YouTube audience that's been with us for some time. We're moving to Peacock on Monday, and we are there for free. It's available by the web. It's free on the web. So the way that you do watch us on YouTube, you could just watch us on Peacock and then get everything that Peacock offers, which is amazing television and movies, original content, and then where we are every day, starting on Monday, August 24th on peacocktv.com or downloading the app, a standalone channel after the Dan Patrick Show. You can see it there, and Florio, and we lead into a new show starting in September, Brother from Another, which is with Michael Holly and Michael Smith, and then PFTPM. It's a standalone channel. It is truly remarkable, and we are thankful to Peacock, and we are hopeful that you and our YouTube audience that's been with us to keep us alive, to get us to Peacock, will stick with us and also continue to enjoy us. Let's go to the phone lines right now. Shams Charania is joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show from the bubble, and he is one of the best in the business, not only because he knows his stuff, but he works for 2 organizations. How are you, Shams?
Rich, I'm good. Hope you're doing well, and congrats on the move.
Hey, I appreciate you saying that. And as you know, there is a brave new world out there of so many different ways that you can get your information out there. You know that firsthand, and you are doing that from the bubble for the Athletic as well as Stadium. So let's talk about life in the bubble. How long have you been there, and how long are you there for the duration?
Yeah, Rich, so I actually just got here late last night.
No kidding.
So I'm just now starting the process. I'll be here. The plan is through the duration of the remainder of the playoffs. So I guess I'm here for the good stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it's an unprecedented moment in our history. It's a very unique, historic opportunity. But yeah, I'll be quarantined, I think, for the next 7 days. So I'll be in my room.
So you're in the entry portal, essentially, to the bubble? Before you're
basically,
okay.
Yeah, I'm in the entry hotel, and then pass the test, and then hopefully get into the bubble, and then there's another quarantine period. So the NBA has definitely done everything they can to make sure that there is no entry or infection level that spreads. So I'm feeling that part of that firsthand right now.
Are you literally? I'm serious now. Are you literally stuck in a hotel room for a week? Like you cannot leave that room, that door, and they are monitoring whether you are or not. Is that what's happening?
I don't know. I don't know if they're monitoring me, but listen, there have been a couple players that have left quarantine, and then they just have to deal with additional days of quarantine, right? And like Bruno Caboclo, Rashawn Holmes, a couple of guys that have broken, a level of protocol really early in the process, and then they ended up having to quarantine an additional 10 days. I don't want to do that to myself. So I'm gonna stay on myself. I'm gonna monitor myself, Rich.
All right, Shams Charania here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into it. A big exhale by Laker fandom. What do you attest the difference between games 1 and 2, or your entire bubble experience, and then game 2 last night?
I don't know if you can say there's a stark difference, but when Anthony Davis shows up at that level, he's had a couple big games so far in the bubble, but then he's also had some games where he might be a little less aggressive, a little less effective. Those 8, 9 point, 10 point games, that's not going to cut it for these Lakers. They need him to be dominant night in and night out. And I think last night was a good step in that direction. He didn't bring it in game one to the level that we expect out of Anthony Davis. And I think that's something that LeBron James is knowing the leader he is. He's going to continue to stress that on Anthony Davis and continue to try to get the best out of him. But this team will only go as far as LeBron James, Anthony Davis can take them, and the role players stepping up as well. And I think that was the biggest sign that you can take from game two.
Well, I mean, that, and also, I guess, the dislocated left index finger of Damian Lillard, the outside of, I guess you would say, maybe even Devin Booker, the hottest player in the bubble since it had been created and there was a tip-off within it. And it just maybe gets that sense that the run of the Blazers took a considerable hit, even though there are no broken bones. What do you make of this development?
Yeah, so he has a dislocated finger, and like he said last night, there is a level of pain. There's some swelling. But listen, he's from. You know, I spoke to someone close to him last night. He's from the town, the person said. So he's going to play in Game 3, and he's optimistic that given a couple days off and continue to treat that finger, he'll be fine. But you know, that step back to his left hand and being able to shoot, it's going to have an effect. The question is how big of an effect it's going to have, and we're not going to know until he gets on the floor Game 3. If it starts to affect his range, his ability to step back, ability to dribble with the left hand, then you're going to see a major difference and a big blow to this Portland roster, which obviously he has been the MVP so far of the bubble.
No doubt about that. And, you know, obviously Milwaukee had a bounce-back game. Interestingly enough, the one seeds each scoring 111 points in their bounce-back games to even up a series at one apiece as they beat Orlando last night. And so what about Westbrook? Do we see Russell Westbrook at all? What can you tell us about his injury and how long we might see him on the bench for the Rockets, who are up 2-0 in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, Russell Westbrook, I'm told, is progressing. He is every day doing a little bit more. You know, early this week he was standstill shooting. I think I've been told middle of this week and yesterday and today he's going to start to at least jump a little bit more on his shot and do a little bit more. So every day is a level of progress. There was some hope within the team that there might be a chance for him to come back this weekend. But again, up 2-0, they have the cushion right now. There's no real need to rush Russell Westbrook back. And I think the Rockets understand that. I think they will be very, very cautious with how they monitor his return, but he wants to play. I think there's going to be shock around the Thunder for sure if Russell Westbrook doesn't find his way back on the floor at some point in this series. And
so, what's the Sixers' future looking like? We talked about it with your colleague from Sports Illustrated, Chris Mannix, yesterday. That the process that's been trusted might not be as trustworthy or trustable anymore, that this is the end of the process, that we have reached the end of it. And I know that Simmons is hurt, but Simmons and Embiid didn't seem to mix very well prior to the pandemic. So where do you stand on the Sixers right now?
Yeah, you know, they're going to have decisions to make at the end of the season, you know, on different situations, whether you look at the coaching staff, whether you look, you know, different parts of the front office. But you know, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, those are two talents that you will not, you know, it's hard-pressed to find, right? And when you have them and when you have them secured for multi-year long-term deals, the goal is to keep them. And from everything I've been told, you know, the Sixers are still prioritizing a future around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And if that means maybe finding someone else to help steer the ship, I think that a franchise would rather do that and turn things over to someone that might be able to make it work. You give this as much of an opportunity as you can, because talent like this just doesn't come around. So if you feel like you have to entrust a new coach or whatever you have to do to make sure that you see this through, that is still my sense that is what they are hopeful of doing.
So Shams Charania of The Athletic and Stadium joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do we see Mike Conley for the Utah Jazz? I mean, we get a tip-off in short order for the tip-off of the quadruple header with Toronto at Brooklyn in about an hour's time. But do we see Mike Conley for the Jazz after that in that Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is for Mike Conley Jr. to return today. He's been quarantining for 4+ days. and he's going to be back in the lineup. He's expecting to play, and it'll be interesting to see how that meshes with this Jazz roster, which has succeeded for the most part in both games. They had a chance to win Game 1 as well, and absolutely crushed Denver in Game 2. And Donovan Mitchell has really played well at point guard, and he's really relished this opportunity to have the ball in his hands. How will that impact his game with Mike Conley Jr. back in the lineup? I think that's a question that Utah has been trying to get a grip on all season long, and now it's going to be Game 3 question.
Okay, so let's talk about tonight's game between the Clippers and Mavericks. I mean, it's now a 5-game series. This is exciting. Luka, it does not appear that the Clippers have an answer for him when he is either not banged up or in foul trouble. And as long as Porzingis stays out of the crosshairs of the officials, it looks like this is the Maverick series to take. What do you think?
They're going to have a shot here, and I think one more thing, Rich. No Patrick Beverley, and you saw the way that he really went at Luka the first few minutes of Game 1. You could tell Luka was in for a really, really long series, a tough series, a physical series, and Patrick Beverley has had this calf problem. He rested the calf issue during seeding games. It's now flared up again, and he's doubtful to play today. And so that is a big shot to the Clippers' defensive lineup, and I think a positive for the Mavericks. So they have a shot here to make this series competitive. I don't know if they win this, but they definitely have a shot here in the Mavericks' first run with this Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis pairing in the playoffs.
That would be just an absolute disaster. It's just amazing how things work. Like, you think the Lakers are in trouble, now you think the Clippers are in trouble, and who knows, maybe they wind up in a Western Conference Finals in that bubble anyway. But just the way that certainly with Hardaway Jr. looking the way that he's looking and the rest of the team contributing, you get the sense that the Clippers, without Beverly and Harrell needing to get his feet under him, that they're in trouble. You got that? I just get that sense, and it would definitely be helpful if they had, an actual Staples Center to get the fans getting them moving. But you just get that sense that if Porzingis didn't get ejected or be silly enough to get into that set 2 in Game 1, this could be an 0-2 hole that the Clippers are in right now.
I mean it very well could be, but listen, I expect Paul George will be better. He had a rough go in Game 2. I think he'll come back motivated and ready for Game 3, and I would expect him to step his game up. I would expect Kawhi to be Kawhi. Listen, the Clippers still have the edge here, as far as I feel. And but listen, the Mavericks, no Pat Beverly, I think that only helps Luka Doncic's domination of the floor.
Any idea when Beverly could be coming back?
With Cass, Rich, I think it's all up in the air. It really just depends day to day. He missed several weeks in seeding games to rest and get better. It really, as far as I'm told, a day-to-day situation based on treatment.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the draft lottery. Last night, the Timberwolves win the 2020 draft lottery. And so this means that with the Warriors and then the Hornets right behind them, what a position for the Warriors. But I guess for the Timberwolves, they take who? Who do you think it's going to be?
It's a great question. I spoke to someone close to the situation last night. They're still looking at all names. I don't think you can rule anything out. I mean, obviously, Anthony Edwards from a positional standpoint makes a lot of sense. You heard a lot of talk about Anthony Edwards around the league, but this is a process, Rich, that this is unprecedented what's going on right now in the pre-draft process. These, league executives, this is not what they're accustomed to. So it's going to be a very patient process. Have a virtual draft combine most likely in September. See what more information and intel you can gather and try to make the best decision. I'm sure Minnesota will receive calls on the first pick as well, but I think Anthony Edwards right now positionally makes some sense. Obi Toppin is another name that you hear executives on the league point at as a candidate there. I don't know if James Wiseman is the fit. I don't know if LaMelo Ball is a fit there, given they have D'Angelo Russell. But those are the couple names that I was hearing right off the bat.
So basically, the Warriors signed D'Angelo Russell, right? They get Wiggins, and then they get the second overall pick anyway. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so they have the treasure, they have the flexibility, and they have now the health. What's the rest of the league thinking? They must be freaking out a little bit, right?
I mean, the Warriors, as long as they're healthy and these guys come back in top form, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, obviously this is going to be a tough team. And assuming, if Anthony Edwards goes one, the Warriors, James Wiseman's a guy that makes a lot of sense for them. And so you bring in Wiseman, you have him, and you have a team that's ready to go. And there are going to be veteran players across the league that want to join this team. There have already been some players that I know have been looking at them as a destination because you want to be a part of something like this. And so they're going to be right back in the thick of this next season, I'm sure.
Well, drop some names. Give me some names who might want to join the Warriors and just go ahead and make them a 60-win team once again in 2 seconds flat.
I don't know if I can spill any names yet, Rich.
What do you mean? You're in the bubble. No one is listening. You're in the Rich Eisen show bubble. We'll just keep it between us. Come on now. What do you got?
Oh, man. I got nothing.
Oh, boy. But you're hearing already that players, once they are free of this 2019-2020 season, would be more than happy to throw themselves in the city.
I mean, you always have veteran players that are coming up on free agency that begin prioritizing, championships and wanting to be on contending teams and seeing different fit opportunities. Because, this Warriors team, besides the core guys, there's going to be some roster turnover on this team. They're going to have some open spots here on the bench and things like that. So definitely I think it's an appealing location, appealing destination.
All right, Shams, thanks for the call. Be safe. Hope you are fully injected into the bubble, safe and sound, and enjoy the rest of the way. We'll call you up as the weeks progress and the season continues and the championship possibilities dwindle for certain teams and blossom. We appreciate the time.
Sounds good, Rich. Thank you.
You got it.
Again,
thank you. Same to you. That's Shams Charania of The Athletic as well as Stadium joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show. So your Celtics got an extra first-round draft choice last night.
Yeah, I saw that. At the bottom of the draft.
And as expected, Knicks didn't get any luck whatsoever.
It actually dropped to 8.
Yes, they did, didn't they?
Which I believe was the same spot they had when Steph Curry went at 7.
Whatever. Saw on Twitter last night the court drawing of Steve Bannon, and somebody put a Knicks hat on his head. Like that's it. That's the draft right there. That's the New York Knicks draft. Told you, there's no luck. Karma stinks. It sucks. So Tom Thibodeau will get a great eighth overall pick, whoever the heck that's going to be.
Let me find a mock draft.
Oh, God.
Hold on.
Why don't you do that? When we come back, though, you know what we're going to do?
What?
We're going to dive headfirst deep into my new man love fandom for a superstar and a red-hot team in Southern California called the Padres. We come back. (844-204-RICH) is the number to dial here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so Rich Kleiman will be joining us, Pat Forty, and then Leigh Diffey. Have you constructed a poll question over there, Christopher? Say that again?
I do have one that's out.
Okay.
Talking NBA, looking at the Western Conference specifically, who do you have the most confidence in coming out of the West? Top 4 seeds: Lakers, Clippers, Rockets, Nuggets. Who do you have the most confidence that'll come out of the West?
You don't think that the recency bias will have the Lakers winning that by 80% to milk?
I don't think so.
Split three different ways?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't?
I don't.
Who would you choose then from that?
I am still the most confident in the Clippers. Although I like the way that Houston has looked, and if Russell Westbrook can come back and be the Russell Westbrook that we've seen, I think the Rockets have a fighting chance. They just have to make shots. I think we've seen in the last 4 days in the NBA playoffs.
Right.
And what everyone always says, it's a make or miss league. If you're making your shots, you're going to win the game pretty much. I mean, the Lakers shot 5 of 32 in game 1, got beat. And last night they made some threes. And they won the game pretty easily. And I think we've seen that with Portland's run through the bubble, and in their first two, and Dallas as well. Dallas made a bunch of shots. So I think I'm still the most confident in the Clippers.
All right. We're back here on our Peacock stream on Monday. We're running through the way it's going to be working on Monday. And we're back here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm texting Daryl Morey that.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, to join us on our Peacock for next week.
Oh, fantastic.
You free next week sometime?
Well, that sounds like you're asking about the dinner.
Well, clearly I'm not. I'm imagining he's in the bubble.
Hey, Daryl.
You free next week to call in sometime?
There you go. There you go.
And hope you're well, right?
There you go. Hope you're well. Yep.
You think he's out there watching, saying as soon as he hits send, I'm going to reject it?
He might be watching. Daryl strikes me as a guy who kind of takes in all media.
I love Daryl Morey, as you know. He's been here.
He's a member of my Taller Than You Thought He Is.
Yeah, you know who else is a part of it? Chris Mannix is in that.
Chris Mannix, Elon Musk.
I've never seen Elon Musk. Have you?
Rich,
have you been around
We met Elon Musk. I was with you when we met Elon Musk.
When the hell did we meet Elon Musk?
In New York, in your hotel bar.
When was that? You sure it was me?
Oh, my gosh. You look... We got to tell the story on the air.
Okay. We're on the air. I mean...
Okay.
We're back in 5 seconds on our radio audience.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. We're back in a second. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show on the Rich Eisen Show Radio Networks. Here, Chris Brockman, and the commercial break was reminding me. So we're,
I can't believe you don't remember this.
So when did we meet Elon Musk?
Okay, so this is the last time.
Hold on a second. We brought this up because we're invited Daryl Morey on the show.
You were texting Daryl Morey, invited him on the show, and I mentioned
he's part of which club?
He's part of the club that I have, the Taller Than You'd Think in person.
By the way, I get that from people sometimes.
That you're taller in person?
Because
that's always nice to know.
Well, because people see only half of me.
Right.
On television. Like very rarely am I standing, although there was one year where NFL Network, the EP running NFL Network saw CNN and saw everybody standing on CNN
right.
and literally thought that was a great idea for all of us to stand on NFL Total Access.
Which is weird because Wolf Blitzer is like 5'3".
And removed all the chairs from the set, so all the 300-pound linemen were just like dying to sit down for 60 minutes and shifting their weight. So people who were on camera were just like, these guys were just trying to stay upright. One day I actually walked in and I said, you do realize that standing for a lengthy amount of time technically is a torture position. Like you could get arrested for this if you keep us standing for much longer. But at any rate, people think I'm a little bit taller than most.
Daryl Morey, when he came in.
And we said Chris Mannix.
Chris Mannix.
He's like 6'2", right?
At least.
Yeah, he's much
very
bigger.
tall.
Right?
And then I said Elon Musk, also very much taller than you'd think he is. And you were like, I've never met Elon Musk. I met Elon Musk with you.
Where?
Last time we were in New York doing the show, I think it was 2 Novembers ago.
Okay. We did meet him.
Thank you. We were at your hotel bar, the lounge area, which is amazing. And it's very dark. We were, having some adult beverages. And you look at me and go, should I go up to Elon Musk? And I'm like, I don't know if I would do that if I were you. And as we were walking by, you exactly did that.
You know what? Because I thanked him for his electrical knowledge.
His services, yes. Anyway, he's like 6'2", 6'3".
We did
he's
meet
also
him.
very
now
tall.
I remember meeting him, although now I also remember why I could forget.
It's a little hazy.
Because they have a very stiff pour where I like to stay in New York City.
That's true. So anyway, that's a little running tab.
Very heavy hand there.
Yeah,
okay,
people
very
who
good.
are taller than you think they are.
Elon is tall.
I don't know who else is
Were
in
you
that
there
group.
that night too?
No, but believe it or not, UFC 193, Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey fight.
Yep.
I was at my friend's house, and I'm really into the fight because I picked Holly Holm to win that fight.
Is that the one that she won, right?
Yeah.
And then she came in studio, I think, like 2 weeks later, right?
Not even 2 weeks.
Okay,
And my guy walks into my buddy's house. He's like introducing. I'm into the fight. I was like, did you say Elon? And I turned around, and it was Elon Musk. Came over to my friend's house.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Did he drop some Bitcoin off with you, too?
Nah, you know what? He sat behind me, and like I said, I was heavily invested because I don't like a lot of chatter when I'm watching fights.
Right.
So what was going on behind me, I was like, oh, cool. I'm into this.
By the way, that's what I guess you could describe me as when we met Elon Musk is heavily invested.
Exactly.
We did meet him.
We did.
Now I remember. He is taller than you think.
He is definitely taller.
Although he was sitting on the couch for most of them, then he got up.
He was sitting on the couch, and he got up to shake our hands, and I was like, whoa, you're tall.
So, again, we've got new partnerships everywhere. We have rebooted this show. So we've got a new partner, as you know, on Peacock on Mondays when we start streaming on the Peacock, a streaming service with our friends on NBC Sports on Peacock is the name of the standalone channel. It is easy to find. Literally, you look at channels when you get your Peacock interface. When you get it for free, you'll see channels. You pop on the channels. You'll just scroll down to see the NBC Sports on Peacock channel and hit enter, and boom. Our show comes up between 12 and 3 every single day, and you can find our clips there, as well as you'll still find them on our YouTube stream. So we've got our Peacock relationship. We've got our old relationship with SiriusXM. We rebooted that baby, right? NBCSN, we're on that until October 5th. We just are staying put right there. So to our new terrestrial radio partner in Southern California, the Mightier 1090, if there's some way, shape, or form that you are new to us through this remarkable reboot of its own right, there is something called the Rich Eisen Show bump.
There sure is.
It exists. It is real.
It is real.
Now, when we have guests on, we make their lives better. It's that simple. It happens. It happens a lot. Whether it's an athlete who wins a championship a couple weeks later, a couple months later, we take credit for that.
Absolutely.
Mahershala Ali was on our program. The actor Mahershala Ali won an Oscar a couple months later. The actress Ariel Kebbel was on our program. The day she was here, Ballers got renewed. These things happen. Now, when guests come on and they don't win or they don't get what they would like, we completely ignore that and do not take whatsoever any responsibility for it. But there is something called the Rich Eisen Show bump, and everybody with the Mightier 1090 is experiencing that right now, because how else can you explain why, since the Rich Eisen Show started appearing on the Mightier 1090 right there in San Diego, California, where it has been housed for many, many a moon, how else can you explain not one, not two, not three, but 4 consecutive games in which the San Diego Padres have hit a Grand Slam home run? How else, what other possible explanation could there be? There's only one reasonable one: the Rich Eisen Show bump.